What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you thoughts and commentary on all things wrestling. Before I get started, I want to thank all the viewers and all the subscribers. For all of you who are new, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified on all things from the show. Let's get started with tonight's review of Friday Night Smackdown. First and foremost, I almost thought I was going to fall asleep at the Ding Dong Ellen DeGeneres wannabe Bailey talk show. And yes, I called the raven looking short haired girl from Teen Titans, Bailey, wants to be Ellen DeGeneres, and she never will. However, I thought I was going to fall asleep tonight. I really did. I thought I was going to fall asleep to that very segment. Just sitting there listening to them just laugh and I thought I was going to snore at that segment. I really did. Thankfully, Cesaro is back at 100% after experiencing Seth Rollins and, of course, those horrible eyes. Those wide eyes of Seth Rollins is what I'm alluding to for humor. But either way, thankfully, Cesaro returned after a serious injury and woke us up because I was about to snore. I'm sure you were about to as well. But to put the icing on the cake, Bianca Belair, I thought she was going to come in and attack her. But of course, she had her earrings and her special shoes on, which means they're not shoes you wear to a fight. Therefore, I knew she wasn't coming to fight but to talk. Instead of talking, however, she just laughed back. And I enjoyed every second of that laugh. You reap what you sow, folks. Also tonight, we saw a great technical match between Chad Gable and one half of the Street Profits, known as Montez Ford, who in my opinion is the master of the Frog Splash. All due respect to the late Eddie Guerrero, God rest his soul, and of course 2021 Hall of Famer Rob Van Dam. I believe Montez Ford does the best Frog Splash in my personal opinion. Tonight, it had a great technical match. It got interesting near the end, only to have it ruined by Otis the Evil Ogre, as I like to call him because he's a heel. I do things to be fun. I don't believe in bullying, but I'm just having a little fun here. Otis is an evil ogre who is beerless, but still an evil ogre. Either way, Otis came in and destroyed Montez Ford. Yes, I want to make sure I got that name correctly. And I will say this in humor. Just because Mark Henry went to AEW, it does not give the ogre the right to steal all of Mark Henry's stuff. The World's Strongest Slam. That's Mark Henry's original stuff. The splash off the second rope is occasionally Mark Henry stuff. But squashing people like pancakes, World's Strongest Slam, that's Mark Henry's original stuff. Get your own stuff. Either way, just kidding. That's that. Also, I will say this. Let me get on this page. I appreciate that the WWE is trying to give everybody a push, including the females. Last week, Carmella got her victory against Liv Morgan. This week, Liv Morgan got hers. But I will say this. This most beautiful woman on the planet, I don't agree with it. It's a couple of women that can argue that case. Let me see. Kayla Braxton, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. That's just my humor. I think there are plenty of women on the WE roster who could argue that fact. And I just brought up a couple of names. I'm just saying. And also beautiful in spirit. Carmella not it. The only person that would agree with that, however, is Corey Graves. Speaking of Corey Graves, can you imagine Corey Graves still being on SmackDown? Of course, Corey would be the first to sing Carmella's praises because Carmella stood in front of Michael Cole, who, poor thing, has been bullied by all the females. First Bailey and now her. You almost confuse her with the mean girl. Either way, let me see. When she went over to the announce table to make Cole say things to stroke her ego, I thought to myself, Corey Graves could do that perfectly since they are a real life couple. And of course, Corey Graves, speaking of him, would absolutely be throwing a fit. Many of us have enjoyed the angle of Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin. Over the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of funny shenanigans with Shinsuke stealing Baron Corbin's crown and having a pretty interesting win-loss record. Corbin for two, Shinsuke 2, and with Adam Pearce giving a great suggestion that they should indeed have a match for the crown, for the rightful place of the crown. Good idea. However, Corey Graves would be on SmackDown throwing a fit. I can't do a good impersonation, but I'm going to try. This is not fair, Cole. You can't steal the king's crown. This is a travesty. This is a travesty, Cole. That wasn't my best Corey Graves impersonation, but that's exactly what it would sound like. Speaking of impersonation, let's get into this angle with the head of the table. The head of the table. Roman Reigns. I suck at impersonations, but I can try. I can do an Undertaker impersonation. You will rest in peace. That was actually a good one. Speaking of The Undertaker, keep that one in mind because I'm going to mention The Undertaker in just a minute. But either way, let's get to this angle. There's a lot of wildness going on between Roman and the family. And has been a lot of pot stirring between the fact that Roman is in it for himself, where actually Jimmy Uso, who is one half of the Uso twins, is trying to get Jay's attention, insisting that he needs his brother, while Roman Reigns is just using him. And so it's becoming very tense with Jay in the middle of the argument between his brother Jimmy, his twin brother Jimmy, and Roman Reigns, the Universal Heavyweight Champion of SmackDown. Much to the point where Jay actually snapped tonight, and I don't blame him because at that moment, both Jimmy and Jay were acting like children. Stop it, because both of y'all acting like y'all 5. I'm just saying, that's just me personally. But either way, I will say this. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be a setup for Jimmy to become a complete heel or if Jimmy's going to go against the grain. I don't know. But this story, I will say this, is getting very interesting. And speaking of getting interesting, that's not the only thing on Roman's plate. Roman has been challenged by Rey Mysterio to wrestle him for the Universal Championship. I don't think he mentioned the Universal Championship, but I think they're going to put it on the line anyway. But I heard Rey challenge Roman, calling him out for a match against him, Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio, inside Hell in a Cell. I almost screamed when Rey said that. I was like, what? You and Roman? Listen, I have been a huge Rey Mysterio fan since childhood. Since I first saw him at, I believe I was 8 years old when he made his debut in the summer of 2002 on an episode of SmackDown. That was an interesting episode of SmackDown, by the way. It had one of my favorites at the time, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, so forth. But anyway, I've been a fan of his since I first saw him on that night. However, those odds are not looking very good. As we all know, and I mentioned this in a previous video that I did yesterday about Hell in a Cell Dream Match Fantasies. Matches that we wish we can see that we won't see, matches that we hope we can see. So I encourage you to check that out. It could be kind of fun and very entertaining for all of us who like to have fantasy warfare in our minds about what would make a great match. So Hell in a Cell Fantasy Warfare, check that out. I did it yesterday. Hope you like it. But as for right now, the odds, as I mentioned about Roman yesterday, are not on Rey Mysterio's favor. You see, Roman Reigns has been undefeated inside Hell in a Cell. He defeated his brother Jay, he defeated Rusev and Bray Wyatt before he became the mushroom head lookalike The Fiend. However, there was a match that took place in 2018 with Braun Strowman as his opponent and Mick Foley as the special guest referee. That match ended up in a draw thanks to interference by Brock Lesnar. However, Roman Reigns has never lost inside Hell in a Cell. Roman Reigns is bigger than Rey Mysterio, which does not matter. And of course, Roman is a bit stronger, which does not matter. But the fact that you have all three of those odds combined, the odds are against Rey Mysterio a little bit. So as much as I am a fan of Rey Mysterio, I don't know if this is a fair fight for Rey, in my personal opinion. But who knows? Maybe he could put on a competitive matchup against Roman inside Hell in a Cell. I don't know. We already know we will see Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre, and we will see Rhea Ripley versus, of course, Asuka inside Hell in a Cell. No, Charlotte. Rhea versus Charlotte inside Hell in a Cell, I believe. But this is the first female Hell in a Cell that didn't involve Sasha because she's on vacation. Enjoy your rest. But either way, I don't think the odds are in Rey's favor. As much as I like Rey Mysterio, I don't know if the odds are in his favor. So hopefully he'll able to pull in some competition like Jeff Hardy did Randy Orton before the disturbing scene happened with the ear. So that's interesting. I don't know what that's going to look like. But speaking of Roman, there's another master of Hell in a Cell that I wanted to bring up, The Undertaker, before I close out. Recently, The Undertaker did an interview on a sport magazine where he said how proud he was of Roman Reigns. Yes, this is clarified. It's on Sportskeeda. Not Sportskeeda, another site. But they said that Undertaker did a recent interview where he talked about how proud he was of Roman Reigns and how Roman is doing good with his character. And I have to agree, Roman is doing good. He is what many consider a bad donkey heel. And I have to say bad donkey, my mother's probably watching. But he is a bad donkey heel. We can't deny that. He really is. And of course, banishing Daniel Bryan from Smackdown. No one's heard from him ever since. And then you have other things he has done. He has not lost the championship since he won it in late August of last year. He is on the verge of being the longest reigning champion in SmackDown history. JBL, you just got your record broken, buddy. So either way, you have Undertaker, who has applauded Roman Reigns' character, Roman Reigns' actions on SmackDown, and how he is being a good scripted heel, cold-hearted, etc. He even approached Roman and Jay just to tell them how much of a good job they were doing as far as storylining and sports entertainment is concerned at Survivor Series, which is The Undertaker's 30th anniversary last year. So to get a thumbs up from The Undertaker is a big deal. It's just like that handshake that John Cena got on SmackDown many years ago. And speaking of The Undertaker, it's ironic that that is happening because several months earlier, The Undertaker was under heat by some WWE wrestlers for what he said on an interview about wrestling nowadays being soft. Now, of course, WWE is not PG like it used to be. So, of course, things have to be done a certain way than when The Undertaker was bringing some of us up in our childhoods, entertaining us through him. So, hey, I don't know. Hopefully, The Undertaker doesn't think SmackDown is too soft anymore and things of that nature. So, with not to mention, Roman Reigns responded at the time saying that something about him being an old man, something like that. So, hopefully, that was patched up. I forgot the specific words that Roman used. However, it was interesting to see that Roman is being applauded by The Undertaker, whereas several months ago, Undertaker said he thought that at the time WWE's getting a little soft. So maybe WWE's going in a good direction. Hope so, as far as The Undertaker's thoughts are concerned. And that's all the time I got for you today. And I'll be back another time with another review on all things WWE. Don't forget to check out my previous video about Hell in a Cell Fantasy Warfare, where I give my thoughts on matches that we wish we could see but can't, and some we might actually see or want to see someday. So check that out, and I'll be back with you next time for more reviews. Good night, peace out.